Hi, coaches. Coach Bess here, and I'm just bringing the quickest training on how to figure out not only your business expenses month by month, how to save some money on that, but also how do you take the money that you earn and split that up to not only cover your business expenses, but pay yourself and pay off debt, especially if it's your business debt. But even contributing to family bills and tackling debt. So let's dig into this because this was a very good question asked by a coach in our wonderful Health Coaches on a Mission group. And I wanted to answer it in detail because it's just one of those questions that's not easily answered with a quick little typed up answer, right? So I've also created, I kind of borrowed a couple of these sheets from a previous training I did with you guys that I did free for the community called Make Your Next 5K. I've got to bring that training back. It's super good. But for now, I've added to that packet and kind of given you a little bit more of a fuller look here at figuring out what you need to be setting as your business financial goal to even cover your overhead, pay yourself, pay your self-employment taxes. Let's dig into this, okay? So by the end of this, I'm hoping, even if it's just a few minutes long, I'm really hoping you feel confident in setting your financial goals, also knowing how to manage the money that you then earn from your business in a really wise way, and start tackling some of the bills that might be hanging over you and creating a little bit of a mental burden. But still doing it in a sustainable way, right? Where you can continuously pay your overhead as a business owner and move forward with how you manage your money. So I'm only pulling from my own experience as well as some coaches that I have coached over the years. You guys know that. I'm not pretending to be a financial expert here, but I have been able to make a lot of progress doing it this way. And every year almost in business, I have increased my earnings. These last 3 years especially, I have quite the testimony of increasing in quite a substantial amount actually, how much I earned from the year before. And so I know this works, what I'm about to share with you. And I've also been able to more wisely manage the money I then earned and increased in my business as I went. Because in the early days, I was just a terrible money manager. My husband can attest to that. It's kind of a sore point with him because he's an amazing money manager. And that's just never been my natural gift. So I'm really just sharing from my own experience here, not trying to be a financial expert, but definitely sharing what has worked and hopefully will be a simple way that you can now do this. Or even just, you're probably doing a lot of this, but just a simple way to improve on what you're doing. All right, so the first page is all about how to figure out where to put your earnings. And then we're going to talk about your expected expenses and bills, and then we'll talk about setting your financial goals, okay? And even looking at how you actually can earn the money you want to earn through your business. All right, so typically, I split every dollar earned 75-25. So 75% in my checking account, 25% in my savings. I just immediately do that when the payments come in. Let's say that all week long I'm collecting little payments and some big ones. By the end of the week, I do this. So I go into PayPal. Maybe I've also got payments through Stripe. Those go automatically to my bank account. PayPal, I need to manually tell it to send it to my bank account. And so I do that weekly. And once that hits my bank account, I now go in and separate out 25% of that income into my savings. Now, I believe in using credit unions. I also believe in not opening business accounts per se. Those are meant for larger, more corporate style businesses. And so there's additional fees and minimums that come with an account like that. So I really recommend just open a regular checking account. It's totally legal as far as I know in all 50 states. And you just use it as your dedicated business account, even though it's a regular personal checking account. I hope that makes sense. And I automatically connect my PayPal and my Stripe and anywhere else that I'm accepting payments, I connect those to that dedicated bank account now. So then, let's say it's the end of the week and I'm doing my accounting. I'm going to take 25% and move it into my savings. Most of these checking accounts come with the option of a free savings account with it. I would definitely recommend getting that, and then you can just move that money over very simply with one click of the keyboard or a click on your phone pad, okay? From that 75%, I want to pay all my biz expenses first. I also try to stay 30 days ahead on it. That's something I learned the hard way to do. It really removes a lot of urgency and stress if you're staying ahead on your expenses or making sure that they're able to automatically flow through without any issue. Of course, I have a lot of those fees like our web hosting, email hosting fees for our ESP, all those different fees we pay, right? For Zoom, for Dropbox, all those things. I have that set up to be on automatic payment to my card that is attached to this dedicated banking account. So that just really makes it easy. I'm not looking at that every single month. I also immediately tithe or offer from that amount. Now, I'm not going to tithe and offer on my entire 100% because I'm not really earning that 100%. So I'm tithing and offering on my net earnings. And so the easiest way for me to figure that out is to do it on the 75%. And since I'm kind of being specific about that once a week or more sometimes, but usually once a week, then I have a good idea of what that amount should be. If I earned 500 that week or if I earned 5,000 that week. I do have some good weeks like that, but usually it's more around 500. 500 to 1,000 or so is my average. So that's, I'm already going to know I'm going to send or at least put into my account for it and look at it to do monthly tithe or monthly offerings. I know that that amount goes to that. Okay, so I'm doing my 10% on that 75%. On really good income months, when those extra thousands come in, or I've had a good enrollment, or, just different things happen and there's a large amount of money that comes in, now I'm going to look at, first of all, putting it in that same percentage, 75-25, okay, because I still got to pay those taxes on it, right? There still could be unexpected costs arise. So that 25 immediately goes in, even if it's a big chunk. Now, I tend to, though, when I have those really good months, I'm going to make sure that I've got my 2 to 3 months worth of expenses covered. And I kind of mentally, or even on a piece of paper in my bank, I have an accounting binder that I use. In my accounting binder, I'll even jot it down, like leave this much there. And that way I know that my next 2 to 3 months, usually 3 months is my target, is covered. And that way the money that I'm going to continue to make can still be stockpiling as extra. Of that extra, now when I know I've got those 2 to 3 next months of expenses covered, now I can take some chunk money and pay down a small debt or tack it onto a larger debt to get it paid down sooner. Or I can go to my monthly fees like Zoom and Dropbox and all the ones I pay and look and see which ones I could possibly switch over to the annual plan, which actually ends up saving us about 25, sometimes 30, 33% even I've seen on some plans. It saves us quite a bit to pay yearly. And so on those extra cushion months when I already know my expenses are set aside, my tithe is set aside for the next 2 to 3 months on that, now I know I can take that chunk and go pay that yearly fee and eliminate that monthly expense for a year, but not be doing it on a credit card where it's racking up interest. Okay? The other thing you can do when you get chunk money that's above and beyond the next 3 months of expenses is you can look, I already said that, sorry. You can look at paying down some debt. Okay. So another tip that has helped me over the years is consolidation loans. When due to some life stuff that happened a couple years ago, my credit load got a little bit heavy, and I was like, man, this is going to take me forever to pay this off, and I don't want to do that. I want to know the percentage I'm paying and lock it in and have this sucker paid off in 3 years. So I went and looked at a consolidation loan. Yes, I paid a substantial consolidation fee, It's so ridiculous what they charge for that now. But that was an immediate write-off on my taxes. So I kind of saw it as a catch 22, but yet more pros than cons. And I went ahead and did it. And I am now halfway paid off on that loan versus still looking at it on my credit card, not really going anywhere as far as I'd like to see it go. So that's another idea for getting your credit card debt under control. Do a consolidation loan. But something I recommend is then take those cards, if it was multiple cards, and narrow that down to just one business card. I do use a business credit card. I do believe in them. That's just the way it rolls now with the way we do business. I've learned enough now from Myron Golden and some other really awesome teachers on this that it is not a sin. They really explained what the word had to say about it, about wise business lending and borrowing, and the Bible is full of references to this, which I actually wasn't previously aware of. I was always taught that debt was of the world and debt is a sin, and I think, yeah, in some ways it is when we're just being selfish and living above our means and getting that instant gratification. That of course is a sin. But I think when we're talking wise business dealings and using capital wisely, I'm not saying that you just get a card and you go willy-nilly and you just get whatever you want for your business. That is not what I'm talking about here. This is a whole nother training for a whole nother recording. But I do want to say it is not a sin to wisely use capital, which is what business debt is, in your business, especially in a country like ours where our interest, our fees, all of those things are a tax write-off. And so we're literally, in a way, getting free spending money to support and grow our business. It's pretty awesome when you flip the script on this one. Okay, but the bottom line is we got to pay it, right? And I don't recommend using business debt unless you are seasoned enough to realize that you can and do make regular monthly income in this business. I don't recommend that a brand new coach go out and use that as the way to build a business and then end up burdened and burnt out and scared because now you have a debt hanging over you and you still haven't figured out how to make that sustainable income in this business. So a couple different points there. I know I flipped around a little bit. Let's move on to now figuring out your monthly business expense, because that plays into this plan here with the 75-25 idea, right? So these are some of the common expenses. You guys can read over this. These are just suggestions. You can scratch them out and write your own in for whatever you've chosen as overhead and a business expense. But these are something to just give you a starting point for common expenses for coaching business. The idea is to keep your business expenses low. Don't order or pay for more than you need right now. If you have questions about what you should be getting as far as software, programs, overhead fees, oh man, this one's going to be $100 a month, this one's $50 a month. That is what our group is for you to grab me or any of the mentors here in Health Coaches on a Mission, or hit reply to any of my emails and ask me if I think for your stage in the business, and let me know where your stage is at, whether or not you've made money, how many clients or how many in your community you are serving already. Let's look at it before you jump into a large fee. Now, for most of us, those of us that are seasoned, we have figured out that there are some common fees. They are unavoidable, but we still try to keep them low. So do your math on this page. You can add a blank extra page for expenses that you know you have, and do your math on this and get a total down here, okay? And I said for the year, and I don't know why I did that. You could figure this by the year and then divide it by the month, or you could do it by the month and scratch out where I said year. But I really recommend you looking at this month to month, even if you pay a yearly fee. Still figure that out for the month, because it really helps reduce the overwhelm if we're looking at these numbers month to month. It really does. Then you're not looking at $3,000 overhead. You're looking at, or $2,000, let's say. You're looking at under $200 a month, and that sure does take the stress off, right? And it makes it feel like, okay, this is manageable. I can do this. Then you want to go and figure out the math on your monthly spending. outside of these suggested business expenses or these common business expenses. So what do you want to pay yourself? Okay, first of all, you're going to look at any business debt or even family debt that you want to contribute to. That's what you're going to put here. I left some blanks here for you to put the types of things you want to be using your business income paycheck, because you are going to pay yourself. That is the goal here. That's the other idea for using business debt, is so that you can actually start paying yourself sooner, which really helps with morale and really propels you into success. If you wait to pay yourself and you're constantly just using all your income for spending on your business, then it really gets discouraging. So here's the blank ones for you to figure out and do a little bit of math. This is going to help you figure out your minimum monthly paycheck that you want to earn. Let's go back up to my notes here. That from those numbers you just figured out, let's say that it was $150 monthly for your expenses, which, by the way, is a very good starting point for a new coach. Try to stay at $150 to $200 or below per month. That's a really decent place to stay. I was able actually to run a full-time business on that for quite a while. That, of course, does not include hiring any help. So that's doing it all on your own. But I really recommend doing that in the beginning anyway, so that you know how to do the things you want done in your business, and then you can outsource and be in a better place to do that. Okay, so let's say that this number here was $200 a month, okay, just for simplicity, $200 a month, and scratch out year and put month. Let's say that this is $500 a month, okay? So now you know, out of your 75%, you want to be earning, that 75% needs to be $700 minimum a month, or even $770 because of tithe, okay? So you now have your math on what your monthly goal, and because 25% needs to go into savings, you're going to add that to it, and now your monthly goal is closer to $1,000 a month. Do you see how I did the math? So this isn't just some random percentage here. This is real math from real practical numbers here, from a real practical look at what you need as your paycheck every month after these expenses, savings 25%, and 10% tithe. So I hope that helps you. I know I rounded some numbers here, but it's to help you know what this how this actually creates your financial goal. You see what I'm saying? Now, let's say that you average $1,000 a month, or maybe even $1,000 a month sounds like a lot to you right now. Let's start there. If $1,000 a month sounds like a lot to you, don't start there and go back to what these minimums actually are and reduce as much of this as you can and start where it feels doable. Okay? If 500, 600 sounds doable, trust me, by shooting for that in this next month, you're actually still making tremendous progress, and that momentum is going to build, and you're going to hit 1,000 before you even know it. So please don't let my numbers scare you. You set these as a shoot for the moon, but you know that you can still fall among the stars at that 600-700 and be doing fine. And that's progress. It really is. And you will have other months that are really good that help you catch up for the lower, drier months. Okay? All right. So we've kind of figured out how to set your income goal. But now let's talk about, okay, well, how do I actually meet that goal? Now, this sheet here, this example sheet, is based on the quarter. And so you can divide this by months, or you can use this blank sheet here if you would prefer to work month to month on your activities that are listed as an example here. But the reason I did them as a quarter, when I did that training, how to make your next 5K, it was to show how you could easily, smoothly, realistically make $5,000 a month as a health coach, okay? It was just a visual and example plan. Many people might find all of this too overwhelming, and I gotta tell you, you can make $5,000 a month on private coaching alone. Yes, you can. So, and you're not gonna make it the first month. No, I get that. but you're going to make it by beginning to private coach at however you need to start. Maybe, like we said, that 600-700 is your goal, and you just need 2 clients at $300 each a month, right? So you can scratch all of this if this overwhelms you, because this was part of a training I did, and I did it less overwhelming because it was a 3-day training and I had time to break it down and show how realistic it is. But when you're looking at it in a 20-minute training like today, it could look overwhelming. So just back down and realize that you can do $1,500 a month, $500 a month, $1,000 a month, $2,000 a month on private coaching alone, okay? So I just want to say that even as I give you this example sheet, so let's say that that's all you want to focus on. Your goal is still $1,000 a month to start as your bare minimum and to meet those management requirements we just talked about. And so now you can use this sheet to put down who, coach client number 1, $200 a month, $300 a month, whatever it is you're going to be charging. You can be putting that here to figure out how many you need to get to your goal here. Okay? So you use these sheets as they work for you, but I wanted to just really dig into the money management side because it's something we don't often talk about. And I'm not a financial advisor, so I always feel like, this is outside of my brilliance. This is not what I do. But I have learned how to do this in a realistic, honestly, growth-oriented way and not be overwhelmed by it. And so I just wanted to share a simple idea with you from my own experience. I hope it's helpful. Share with me when you see this and you view this. And thank you, Trish, for asking the question, because I think it's a real question that many of us are living with. How do we take our business money and split it up once we get it in? What if I'm only getting a good amount once every quarter, but then I have a couple of dry months in the quarter? Hopefully this is going to help solve that, because our businesses are up and down, dry and wet. Like we have feast and famine sometimes. And that's very much a self-employment thing, right? And so I think it's good that we're talking about this. And I would love to hear from you what you already do, any hacks you have, or any further questions that this even brought up for you. There's a reason I'm sharing this with every community in our community and not holding this back to our paid communities. I feel like it's a very real topic and it needs to be covered. What do you think? And share with me what you're doing. I hope it helps.